one thing this company has done great is we're actually ahead with hiring. We're not reacting based on what the business is telling us. We know where we're going, so we could actually plan for that now. So once you sort of understand what the processes and tools and the outcomes that's giving us, what's really happening, then you decide what needs to be refined. And I use the word refinement clearly because we don't have things here that are broken. We have things that as we scale, we need to make sure that we're refining the processes. And a lot of those refinements and a lot of those changes are coming directly from our franchise partners, right? Because we listen. We have a lot of things figured out here, but part of the beauty of this team is everybody wants to get better, which means everybody's listening, and we pivot fast just to make things better for our team that's delivering and ultimately the franchisees that's really what's driving our brand right now.
Yeah. Welcome to Enrich Your Empire with Richie Huffman, the ultimate podcast for entrepreneurship, impactful wealth building, and effective team leadership. It's time to enrich your business and create a lasting legacy. Let's get to work. Hey guys, welcome back to Enriching Your Empire with Richie Huffman. Man, we got a good one today. Between Mark Lubin's energy and Richie Huffman's energy, it was a good show, guys. Mark Lubin is Celebree Enterprises' new CDO, or our first CDO, bringing onto the brand. And man, Mark gives some insight secrets of all of his 40 years of experience in operations. And he talked to us about how he goes about and what he looks for in building a team, energy, and grit. Most important, how to build relationships for long-term success in a business, along with what his plans are for Celebree Enterprise in 2025. Guys, this is a keeper. There's so many nuggets in here. Pay attention. Here we go. All right, well, let's get started here. And welcome back to Enrich Your Empire with Richie Huffman. I'm super excited today. I'm actually super excited every day to get up and be able to do what we do. But I'm super excited today on having a guest, Mark Lubin. Mark Lubin is our chief development officer, here at Celebree School. And first and foremost, Mark is a good friend of mine, and Mark's been a friend of mine for a long time. Mark and I actually met, our families actually met playing high school sports. Our boys both played lacrosse at a high level, and so I had a lot of opportunities to meet Mark and talk to Mark on the sidelines. And you know what, Mark, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And I will testify, Richie, you are pumped up every day.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Well, there's no other way to be.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm going to fire back at you on that because that's one of the reasons that I wanted you to become a part of this amazing team, because of your energy level. And you know, I find it hard I've never met anybody that was successful that didn't come with a high level of enthusiasm and energy, right? I think energy comes from energy.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? And when you have that energy level that you have, brother, and I have, amazing things come out of that.
Yep, couldn't agree more. I think it's perfectly said. So yeah, great to be here. Excited to be the CDO, but first and foremost, and you actually said it well, we started off as friends first.
Yeah.
So it's been really a nice foundational piece for you and I. And obviously the kids being laid within that with sports and those relationships. And 2.5 months in, and
here we go.
Excited for tomorrow.
You know, I think that's a great lesson or a great insight for our listeners to pay attention to. Like, always pay attention to the people that you're surrounding yourself with, right? So you never know who you're sitting next to. You never know who could be a great addition to the team or your life as a friend.
Yep, it's so true. And I talk to so many people, and a lot of opportunities just come through networking, relationships, and people just having a good vibe together.
Yeah.
And typically that carries over.
Yeah.
And to successful business relationships and to long-lasting relationships.
It's so funny because I've had so many people come to me in the last couple of years. When this momentum starts and this energy starts, it's attractive, right? People want to be a part of it. So many people come to me and say, I don't know what it is yet, but I want to do business with you. I want to do a deal with you,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure what it is. But I know that I want to be a partner of yours somehow, some way.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And again, just those foundational pieces. There's so much to build on, and that's what we're working on here together.
Yeah, and we all have young kids, or not young kids anymore, and I think that's what worries me the most about this young generation is that they're so unaware of their surroundings, and they got their nose and they're so stuck in these phones that they don't even notice who's around them,
Yep.
and the energy that's around them.
Yeah, I it's a great point.
We're going to veer off for a second here. We'll come back, but
yeah, I noticed the same things.
Right?
I noticed the same things. The way people collaborate, the young generation today, the way they collaborate is very different. The way that they network or reach out is very different. The way that they raise their hand and ask for help, and the way that they learn is very different. So as we continue to grow as adults and business people, and we want to bring them along, that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're setting them up for success, but also understanding that they're the future, and we have to be adaptable as well as parents, and quite frankly, in this case, as leaders.
Yeah. My kids always tease me all the time and say, "Dad, stop talking to this person. Dad, start talking." I'm like, you're missing it. Yep. You never know who's sitting next. I was at a horse show this weekend in Wellington with my daughter, and I tried to talk to as many people as I possibly could. That's how I learn, right? I want to learn, what do you do? Why are you doing it? Where are you from? And is there anything that I could do to support you? Can we be friends? Is there a relationship here? And most of the times it's no. But either two things will come out of it. A friendship will come out of it, or something of interest will come out of it, or maybe you learn something. But I would say in my life, even if I just reflect on this weekend, probably 8 out of 10 people that I spoke to, it was super engaging, and I actually learned something, took away, I'm not saying selfishly, but I took away something from those conversations.
Yep,
I'm better because of it now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's always that nugget, right? You're always in that situation where it's not necessarily the relationship is not to get something out of it, but you do come away from those conversations better. I mean, back to the sports conversation. A lot of our social life was on the sidelines.
Yeah, totally.
Right, and just talking to people and meeting people and how's business, how's the family, what are you doing? Could we work together? Is there anything that we could do from a business perspective? When that's gone, it hurts a little bit, right? You lose that part of your life, but then you grow and you do other things. But you say it well, and those relationships are long lasting. I mean, I have friends forever because of those times.
Yep. So again, Mark, our relationship started early on the sports field and getting to know you and your family. And again, I knew you were special. I knew you came with high energy. The more I spoke to you, I knew that you had been a CDO for a bigger brand, and I knew that you had something to offer me that I could learn from you. So through that time, the next step for us was I said, "Hey, Mark, would you like to be a part of our advisory board here at Celebree?" And you said yes.
Yep. So mid-year 2022.
You remember the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I remember what booth we sat in at the diner.
That's
actually,
super cool.
yeah, you called me and you said, "Hey, I want to meet," and I said when, and in Richie fashion, you said today. No.
I'll wait for tomorrow.
Yeah. We were actually, ironically enough, you bring up this is interesting. We were actually at a high school graduation, and we were sitting together in the pew. And you said, "I want to get together next week. I want to have breakfast." I'm like, "Well, everybody says that." And on Monday came, and the call came, and I'm like, "Well, this is Richie Huffman. He's different, right?" So the call came, and we actually met that week, and we had about a 90-minute conversation, and you were sharing with your vision and all the great things you've done with the corporate schools and where you're going in the franchise world, and we leveraged some of my experience. And after the 90 minutes, you were kind enough to offer me an opportunity on the advisory board of directors for Celebree School, and I accepted.
Yeah.
Did that for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Then the call came again.
Yeah.
And that's when we started having the conversation about, "Hey, listen, I know that your background is a lot of operational focused things, but you partner with the franchisees. We'll get into that in a little bit." But that's when we really had a deeper conversation about really joining and what I could do to really impact the brand and the people of the brand.
So if you think about it, this interview process, and what I mean is because I believe you interviewed me as much as I interviewed you, and I think that's important.
Yep.
I think that's where a lot of a lot of corporations or a lot of companies go wrong. It's like they try to speed up the interview process. So I'm a firm believer, man. Just take your time.
Yep.
Just take your time to truly understand and know the person that you're asking to join the team, and vice versa. You needed something. You're a heavy hitter in your industry, and you were switching industries, and I'm sure you had to process. Is this something that I'm really going to leave all of this behind, and now move forward with something that I don't really have knowledge of in the industry.
Yep. And two things really helped me. The first thing was the trust piece, the foundational part of my relationship with you. Everybody sees what you're doing, what the brand's doing, but I knew it a little bit different because of our relationship. That was really important to me. The second thing was really the sort of inside peek of being on the advisory board.
Yeah.
And joining a new company is challenging. Learning something new is exciting, but comes with challenges. For me, that was really the tipping point. And I remember you and I used to have conversations. Hey, Lubes, what do you think about the advisory board meeting? And I always, my response was always the same. I felt so energized and excited, and really looking forward to the next advisory meeting. But when you go through that, you understand, some of the strategy. You understand the players. And I always walked away with the same thing. The resources are there, the strategy is very clear, and the people here are absolutely awesome. Who doesn't want to join that?
Right.
Right? It just makes sense in the end.
Yeah.
And we're on our way.
Wow.
We're on our way.
So I think that's a great illustration, I guess you'd call it, of a really cool pathway that you took and we took to ask you to come on board in this very important position here.
Yeah.
Especially at our size, I'm shocked that we were able to make it this far without having a true chief development officer, which, in all fairness, I was trying to play both. I was trying to play the CEO along with the CDO, and I'm so glad to be out of that position and put a true expert into that position. So for our listeners, what does a chief development officer really do? What are you here to do, Lube? What are you here to accomplish?
Yep. So I'm here to do a lot. First of all, from a leadership perspective, marketing, sales, construction, and real estate are all the verticals under my leadership. Which is really important because that's the way things flow here. We need marketing to do their job. That flows over to sales. Sales really manages that 90-day process to make sure that we really stay on the journey and get our leads through and get those candidates through and make sure that they truly understand who we are. Once we go through that process and we get people signed on to be a Celebree franchisee, then they go to real estate and they start a new journey. And that journey, that team is, we have internal real estate people, we have outside brokers that we deal with, such a strong collaboration there. And then they go through that process, and then ultimately they go over to construction. And then that's really just getting everybody set up so we can make sure that we appropriately send them over to the operations team, training and ops, and then there goes that 10+ year relationship when they're on their way and we're growing the brand and we're growing people big and small. That's what we do.
When they're actually operating their school.
Absolutely. Just, we're ready to go. So listen, it takes a few years to get through the process, around 21 to 24
Figure out
months.
The process, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But my main role here is to make sure that the team is aligned, they have the resources to be successful, and they stay on the journey, partner with those franchisees and those candidates to make sure that we get them through and they have the support they need to be successful. There's a lot of moving parts. The great thing is we already have the tools and processes, which has been really nice for me, Richie. I don't have to come in here and redefine everything because it's not broken. Yeah. We just have to continue to make it better for our folks.
To walk somebody through that, walk through somebody that's listening that's either a CEO or a CDO. What should they be looking for? Like, do people even know, or do you think most people are even looking for things that are broke, or do you just think that's a philosophy that we have? I mean, we're constantly looking for ways to improve. In your experience, Mark, is that normal, or do people just like what's the norm out there, and then how do you go about attacking things like this or stepping into this CDO role?
Yep. I think the first thing you have to do is you really have to be a good observer and you have to listen, right? Again, being on the board has really helped me, and you could see what's working, what's not. We actually talked a lot in advisory board meetings about scaling and what does that look like. One thing this company has done great is we're actually ahead with hiring. We're not reacting based on what the business is telling us. We know where we're going, so we could actually plan for that now. So once you sort of understand what the processes and tools and the outcomes that's giving us, what's really happening, then you decide what needs to be refined. And I use the word refinement clearly because we don't have things here that are broken. We have things that as we scale, we need to make sure that we're refining the processes. And a lot of those refinements and a lot of those changes are coming directly from our franchise partners, right? Because we listen. We have a lot of things figured out here, but part of the beauty of this team is everybody wants to get better, which means everybody's listening, and we pivot fast just to make things better for our team that's delivering and ultimately the franchisees that's really what's driving our brand right now.
Yeah. I heard two things in that. Number one, talent. That's what we all talk about here.
Yep, absolutely.
And then having really good process and procedures in place. You touched briefly in that, but you were really mostly talking about here at Celebree just redefining or fine-tuning our processes based on what our franchise partners are telling us and making those little slight adjustments to get the results we're after.
Yeah, Richie, fine-tuning is a great way to say it.
Right.
It's perfect. That's absolutely right.
But for most people, I think, I might be wrong, they're not at that level of they're just fine-tuning.
Yep.
Right. They're probably still trying to figure it out. Right.
Yes.
Figuring out the processes that make companies successful to the point where they're able to scale. Talk to us a little bit about because I want people to take from you the 30 plus years of operations. That's what I'm hoping people will take away from this, and if they take some gold nuggets out of this. So what do you look for? I mean, we just left the meeting earlier this morning, and I left you with a couple words, and I said, Lube, I said, build a phenomenal team.
Yep.
That is it. Build a phenomenal team.
Yep.
How do you go about doing that?
Yeah. First and foremost.
Do you agree with me? Like nothing else matters.
It's a must. It's a must. And, my experience, I spent time at corporate America. I spent 25 years at Taco Bell, 16 years on the corporate side, 9 years on the franchise side. So I understand the franchisor piece. I understand the franchisee piece. I was a franchisee. I owned a bread company on the north side of Indianapolis. I've gone through the FDD review. I've gone through a discovery day. I understand what's supposed to happen with those things. No matter if it's tacos, it's schools, it doesn't make a difference. It all starts with the people and assessing their skill set, assessing their hunger, and could you really partner with them to elevate them and make them better? And if not, do you have the willingness to do that? And I think that's two separate conversations. Knowing that they're great or knowing that there's a problem, can you elevate them? And what do you do? How do you handle that? And if they're not, really, is there a deficiency of knowledge or is there a deficiency of execution? And having enough grit to be able to deal with that and make it better, which really impacts everyone, including the person that we're speaking about. So again, the talent assessment piece in any leadership role is number one. Our team is about 17, 18 people, a couple vice presidents and a chief marketing officer that are part of my team. And I want to make sure that we have that team right, which we do, and they're holding their team accountable with my support, and that they have the tools and resources to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But you're right; it's people first, all the time, every day.
What's the number one? And I'm just sitting here as you were talking, thinking this through. What's the number one characteristic in an individual that you look for instantly?
Yeah. I already used the word. I'm actually going to use two words, and I'm going to go a little backwards here. The first word is integrity. It's one of my core beliefs. Without that, you don't have a relationship.
But can you get that out of an interview? Can you get that in the first 30 days?
It's challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It takes time. Usually you get a pretty good handle on people in that talk, but time does answer a lot of those questions. So good point. And the other thing is grit, right? You got to come to work hungry. Like, I can't teach you to love your job. I can't teach you to want to get things done. I could give you the tools and resources, but at the end of the day, you got to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what? Today's the day. I'm not waking up to be average.
Yeah.
I'm waking up to be great, and I'm going to actually go impact someone's life today.
Yeah.
If you start there, there's a pretty
Yeah.
good chance you're going to have a darn good day.
Yeah. I think it goes back. I think you're right. I think it's grit. I think grit to me is the willingness to figure it out, right? With all the obstacles, that's the grit to me. But I think the number one thing that I look for along with that is what we talked about earlier, which I admire about you, is that the level of energy.
Yeah.
Right. You come with energy, man. Like, it's just an attraction, right? I mean, and I think this is one of the reasons why most people love President Trump now, is because of this man's relentless energy. I mean, appears to be one of the hardest working individuals that this country has ever seen.
Yep. And I think at times, and I'll speak for myself personally, that 99% of the time that works for me, right? There is a 1% where you have a rough day, or people realize, well, he's also human, right? But you have to work through that out. It's funny, I was leaving the office the other day, and someone said to me, hey, how was your day? And it wasn't a great day. It just wasn't a great day. But my response to her was, I actually had a bad part of my day, which means I made a choice.
Yep.
And that choice was not to let that ruin the rest of my day.
Yep.
So you get through it. I'm human like everyone else.
Yep.
And I decided to flip a switch, work through it. And you know what? I have the rest of the day to be great again.
Yep.
And that's what my focus, that's the way I focus.
It's so funny.
It's
you
just
said
a
that.
mindset.
Yeah, totally. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. He
Yep.
talks about, I don't have bad days. I have bad moments.
Yeah.
I don't have bad days. And his belief is, and he made a promise, and you said it's a mindset. His promise he made to himself is that I will live a life of gratitude. So with that said, he deals, if a bad day, bad news comes in, he deals with it, and he puts, I think he said he puts like a 90 minutes, and after 90 minutes, it's
Yep.
gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. I addressed it. I did what I could. Now it's out of my control, and I'm finished with it. So
Yeah, and to me, Richie, it's pretty simple. It's a choice.
totally.
And my choice is, I'm not going to let that bring me down the rest of the day. I'm going to work through it. I'm not going to push it underneath the carpet, because there's things that have to be dealt with. But I control what happens next, and I make that choice.
So what are some of the things you're working on here? Some of your, I mean, we got big goals here at Celebree. So
Yep.
I tell everybody, and our advisory board validated this on Friday. You know, they validated we're doing some really special things here.
Yep.
with this brand.
There's a few things that really, when I streamline my thoughts and think about, what's really important, and it's twofold. We'll start with the people.
Yep.
Right. I always start there. We have a great growth plan for people, for everybody. We go through their competencies. We've actually just done a really nice job as a leadership team, taking it to the next level. We now have that on the calendar every single month. We're going to sit down with our team. I'm going to sit down with my leadership team and say, what's going well? How can I support you? Where are we with the competencies? What have you committed to yourself? What have you committed to the team? And that's calendarized now. I mean, we have one-on-ones every week. The fourth one-on-one of every month, we're going to sit down and we're going to work through that together. And I want to make sure that I'm supporting their goals and, more importantly, their growth. The second thing is also something that we've taken to the next level recently is our strategy. Celebree's always been great at that, but the intentionality where we are today going into 2025 versus what I've seen by being on the board for the last 2.5 years is really next level. And for us on the development side, that's really focusing on 3 specific things: driving brand awareness, driving the real estate journey, and driving the construction journey. And we have specifics and leaders over all those pillars to make sure that we're consistent in our approach, and we're taking those franchisees through a world-class journey where they're set up for success, and they don't lose, and we don't lose.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was just sitting here also thinking, some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world have a very common theme, which is hire the best people and get the hell out of their way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Get out of their way. Hire the best people and then get out of their way.
Yep.
You think why do most entrepreneurs, and then maybe I'm speaking for myself here, struggle with that?
Um,
What do you struggle with that?
I, at times I do. Like we want to be connected. We like to get our hands dirty a little bit. In your case, listen, your path's been different, right? We're franchising this model, but you started with 26 corporate schools. Ellicott City, 1994, Richie's first school,
Yeah.
right? And what happens? You grow the next one and the next one. And after 26, you're like, it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
Now we have more franchise schools than corporate schools. At
Yep.
29, we're on the verge of 30,
Yep.
right? With even bigger aspirations. So it's hard to let go of the baby, if you will. But you and I had a conversation this morning, and it resonated with me. And if you have the right people around you, it's easy to pull away.
Yep.
It's easy to be
Totally.
in a situation to really believe,
Totally.
and then that's when really the fun happens.
Right.
And that's what we're really pushing to do here. And again, are there rocky times? In every business.
Yeah.
Do we have the right people to do what we need to do? We have the right tools, we have the right processes, and we have the right leadership to do what we need to do. Now it's just executing.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was thinking like it's just like our business, right? There's no parent that's going to drop their little child off to us unless they have total confidence in our ability to love and take care of that child.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. We have a big responsibility, and we relish that opportunity, right? The nurturing piece, the creativity piece. I mean, our schools are laid out a certain way, the level of detail for that, just to really give that experience. And who doesn't want to pour into the future? That's what we're having an opportunity to do here every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we got planned for this year, Lube? As we head into 2025, as
Yep.
you said, we're close to have 60 schools open, and I don't want to try to push you into answering the question just from a numbers perspective, but
Yeah.
like what's some of your big initiatives?
Yep. Our goals are set. Our strategy is clear. I will tell you that there's been so much time and energy put into our strategy, the initiatives around our strategy, to really focusing on really what I'll call outcomes and what we want to accomplish this year. If we do what we're set to do with the right people at hand, I absolutely believe that we'll have a successful year. And again, for us on the development side, Celebree Enterprise, that really starts with making sure that strategy is a fabric of every conversation, every single day, and we're bringing that to life.
Yep.
We know that it will work.
Yep.
We just need to make sure that we stick to it so we get the outcomes. And again, I think separating outcomes in this conversation is really important. That will come. It's just focusing on the process and the details of the process. And as we scale and get bigger, I think it's actually more important now than ever.
Yeah.
And again, those specifics around our overall strategy and those partnerships with other departments in this building, I think are critical as part of our go forward philosophy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So guys, listen, as we wrap up, I think to thread this for our listeners, it's really, starting with hiring the right people, right? Making sure that those people, and from my seat, I would also put that in the advisory board category, like hire the right people or have the right people around you that are experts in their field and have already done it.
Yep, absolutely. And that experience is so transferable. I mean, I get excited and sometimes choked up about talking about my past and the opportunities I've given. And it's so interesting to see how much of that is really transferable. And again, I know what it's like to be a franchisee. I know the franchisor-franchisee relationship. I know when we have to listen. I know when we have to push. I know when we have to pull. It's just really galvanizing the team around that, and we do it together, and then we will absolutely continue to win together.
Yeah, I love that. And what you just said is just, I think, the traits of just a phenomenal and great leader.
Yep, absolutely. And Richie, thanks for the opportunity given all of us.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. You're heavily involved. You're the face of the brand, and that's valuable to all of us. So keep those conversations coming for us because we always get that little nugget that makes us get better. And just looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, that's my job too, right? My
Yep,
job is to
absolutely.
continue to pour into the leadership team and help them to grow as you guys are helping me grow as a leader also. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Enrich Your Empire. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Richie Huffman Celebree. We've got more great episodes lined up for you, so check back with us soon. Until then, stay inspired, stay driven, and keep building your empire.